In problem 4, we're asked to do the backwards process. We're given the graph and we're asked to write the rational function. So let's just first identify the key features that we see in the graph. We've got two vertical asymptotes. All right, one of them crosses the x-axis at -2, and the second crosses at +2. All right, so we've got x equals -2 and x equals 2. We have a horizontal asymptote, and that crosses the y-axis at 2. So the equation for that line is y equals 2. I see a y-intercept here at the point 0, 6. And I see two x-intercepts, one at -3 and one at 4. So we've got -3, 0 and 4, 0. So how do we use this information to go ahead and kind of start formulating or start reverse engineering our rational function? Let's write our rational function first. We know it's rational, so there's going to be a numerator and a denominator. So let's write it out like that. And let's just start by looking at the vertical asymptotes. We know that those correspond to the values that make the denominator equal to 0. Well, we can just write it out in factored form. If we write x minus 2 and x plus 2, we know that if we plug 2 in for x here, that's going to make the denominator 0. And if we plug -2 in here, it's also going to make the denominator 0. So that's how we use the vertical asymptotes. For the horizontal asymptotes, remember, so since that's not equal to 0, and since we have a horizontal asymptote, this is going to be the ratio of the leading coefficients. So if the ratio is 2, that means the coefficient up top here is 2, and down below it's 1. It's 2 over 1, so we're just going to leave it 2 there. And then let's skip down to the x-intercepts, because we know that those correspond to the values when the numerator is equal to 0. So let's write out some factors that correspond to those two x-intercept values. So x plus 3 is a factor where if we plug -3 in, we would get 0. And the other one is x minus 4. That corresponds to the 4. Now there's one other thing we need to use, and that's the y-intercept. And we really just need to use that to double check our work here. Because if we plug in 0, we should get an output of 6. So if we plug in 0, we should get an output of 6. So let's just go ahead and plug in 0 for what we already have so far and see if we need to add anything or if we're good to go. So I'm just plugging in 0 for all of the x's in our formula, in our function. And I'm going to simplify here now. We've got a -2 here and a 2. All right, it looks like we have 2 on the top and bottom, so this can be simplified. We've got -12 on top, we have -2 on the bottom, and sure enough, there's our output of 6. So we have successfully found a formula, a rational of this rational function that matches up with this graph. Now we can go ahead and plug that into our graphing calculator, which I've done so here. We can hit graph, and we can go ahead and do a side-by-side comparison to see that the rational function we came up with indeed looks like the graph that we were given at the beginning. Excellent job, you guys. Don't forget, you've got a homework assignment. It's 4-2, day 7, online homework, and go ahead and start that now. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you later this week.